Welcome back to On the Road of Recovery. Today we are here with Ilya Shpilman from Cleveland, Ohio. Ilya, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you,
Good.
Amber.
Let's just get started. Can you describe your childhood for me?
Sure. Well, I moved here from Russia at an early age. I moved here at the age of 10, and I didn't know how to speak any English when I first moved here. I had a loving family that brought me, my brothers, and distant family here to start a better life. I had a wonderful childhood. What my parents did the best that they could.
So you moved here. Did you get into school? How did you feel in school? Did you fit in?
Well, they put me a couple of grades lower than what I was supposed to be because I didn't know any English, and obviously I didn't fit in. I would wear my shirt above my belly button with a tucked in button down shirt because that's what I thought was hip. That's what I thought was cool. And I definitely got picked on, ridiculed, and harassed by kids nonstop.
How did that make you feel?
It made me feel less than. It made me feel like I wasn't a part of, and it made me, I don't know, feel like one of the others, like somebody that wasn't um, one of them. In my teenage years, I started using, and it was pretty much when my English was so bad and kids were picking on me, somebody said, or somebody that I got along with was a gal, and she was like a gothic type of girl with wearing chains, and like I was different and always feeling picked on, and that was about 12 years old, almost 13, and she introduced me to pot. I smoked some pot from a tinfoil bowl, fell down the stairs, and at that moment I felt free. I didn't care what anybody thought of me, and I just started acting out instantly. And I started getting consequences almost instantly, because going into my teenage years, then I started being the foreign bully and the kid that was picking on other kids because I had some strength or I had some kind of, ego issues or feeling special. And, I started getting kicked out of school instantly. I started hanging out at the skate park. I started hanging out with all the skater kids, and then it just started to progress. So my teenage years, from the first time that I used, turned into um, a complete domino effect that went from, weed, acid to coke, and it just progressed from there. Um, I was kicked out and expelled out of every single school that I went to, and then getting kicked out and expelled out of the work programs. And, you know, by the age of 14, I was already in juvie, you know, um, going through some kind of rehab program that, you know, I completely lied and cheated through because that was always one of my qualities is from a person not being able to speak the language at first, then to being able to have English flowing out of me and flowing out of me to the point where I would just lie and manipulate the people closest and those ones that were around me. So it's just like my childhood was and my teenage years was filled with nothing but consequences.
How were you supporting your habit?
Well, I was stealing. I remember going into Target, and stealing DVDs. I would have a little chain on my backpack, and I'd be able to open it up right behind me and throw DVDs. And Disney DVDs were the ones that would get the most money back from the record exchange store. And I would literally, grab handfuls of them and go in the bathroom and peel the plastic off and all those little magnets, and then go right into the record exchange and get my, 30, 40, $50 and a pack of Titans from a BP right up the street and go smoke it away. That was a thing. And, and this is how much of an addict I was from an early age. I remember my grandparents and my parents barely spoke any English at the time. And I didn't have any money. I got arrested from stealing those DVDs, many, many months later. And me being able to cry and put on this facade, and being able to act out like I'm scared for my life, in Russian. I explained to my grandfather that my drug dealer was going to kill me if I didn't pay him back the money. And my grandfather gave me a ride up to the playground, where the swing sets were and the little slide was. And I was about 14 or 15 years old. And he gave me, $30 or $40. And I went into the car and I got what I needed, and that's how sick I was from an early age. But you couldn't tell me any different. I thought it was normal. I thought I was fitting in. I thought I had it all played out.
Did you graduate high school?
The funny part about that is I did, with a 3.7. And I lied and cheated my way to get that diploma. And, through my parents did a geographical cure. They moved me from Willoughby to Aurora, the family, and they thought things would be better. And they wanted a bigger house. So we moved there and they put me in the school, and I was expelled within the first couple of months. And I went to a work program. Well, in this work program, you only had to go 3 days a week, and you even got a McDonald's break in between the 3 hours that I had to do the schoolwork. And they gave me a work packet to finish the year. And I gave a friend of mine that lived not too far from me, about a gram of K to do this work packet. And she did it. And I turned it in. And then I get a letter from the Aurora High School, the one that I was kicked out of, expelled from, saying that, wow, we are impressed with your grades. And we would like you to walk and graduate with the Aurora High School class. And when I told my parents that, look at me, I'm amazing, this is going to be great. I'm graduating with, the class. My parents looked at me and said, we're not coming. We don't know how you did what you did, but we know how you do what you do. And we're not going to be a part of it. So I stumbled across the stage, barely shook the guy's hand, and that's about all of that I remember.
What did you do after that? College? Jobs?
Sure, I was working. I was going to jobs, and while I was trying to stay not incarcerated, I already had a place of my own, and that was in the rave time, in the rave scene for me. So I mixed records, did art, and did odd and end jobs, and worked for a tractor shipping warehouse, and hung on to that job for almost a year by the skin of my teeth, and was fired for not showing up or being late, or always having some kind of an excuse and a justification, or a great reason why I went to jail again this week. So for me, like after that was just slowly taking that train off the rails.
So how old are you now?
I'm 35 years old.
So you started at 12 and you used till you're 35. Did you have any breaks?
Well, the only times I had breaks was when I was incarcerated, in prison, or in rehab. But even in those times, I used any chance I had, and even the things that didn't show up in a drug test, no matter what, before I found out about this way of life or became willing to accept that there is a better way, I was always trying to get out of self and put some kind of mood or mind altering substance in me.
What did you lose in active addiction?
I lost everything. That's a I lost my family. I lost those things that I I held close. I lost my daughter. I lost I lost myself, because I didn't and that's crazy because I thought that's who I was, but I was completely lost. Um and I would have never thought I was lost until I experienced clarity, because I lost so much time, so much freedom. The material things don't even count because I somehow lied, stole, or, received them in not the right ways.
Kind of bringing me to my next question, but did you ever feel misinterpreted or misunderstood or alone?
I I didn't think people understood me, or the normal people understood me, because I thought I was special. I thought I was unique. I thought I knew it all, and that is who I was, and the thing is, I don't think I understood myself.
Did you experience any trauma during your active use or even in sobriety?
So, trauma in my active use. Well, I lost my daughter. I signed over the adoption papers for the mother of my child to and her husband to have full custody of my daughter, so that way they can move to Japan because he is in the service, and that was a traumatic event that took me a little further off my rails. I went to prison for over 3 years, and that was kind of a traumatic experience because, I went to a level 3 penitentiary, you know. I crashed a motorcycle fast enough to total a Jeep that I hit from the rear, and ripped my femoral artery, shattered my pelvis, broke my legs, my arms, and ended up, in a nursing home for over 11 months in between different surgeries, and them telling me they may have to cut my leg off because it wasn't getting enough blood, you know? And that was a traumatic experience.
Do
But
you,
even that didn't bottom me out.
do you do anything today to seek help for that kind of trauma? Any outside help, counseling?
No, I hit my knees every morning, and that's the help that I seek, you know.
And how long have you been sober now?
As of yesterday, it's 2.5 years.
Is this the longest time you've stayed sober?
This is the only time I've stayed sober.
Did you have that kind of moment of clarity that people talk about before you got sober? What was different? Did you have like a single type moment where you were like, enough is enough, I need to get help?
You know, it's a very big part of my story. That moment of clarity happened to me, when so after the accident, you know, I was homeless after getting kicked out of 3 different nursing homes, either for sexual relations with a nurse, drug use, and having those episodes due to the lack of sleep and my intake of so many drugs. You know, I went to a place called 2100, and that's a homeless shelter. And I stayed there for about 3 months, and I finally got arrested, because of my, at the time, delusional thinking and just acting out. Well, I went to a rehab, and I stayed there about 3 months until I got, caught with a meth pipe in a bag. Well, then they sent me to jail, and then the judge gave me one more chance and sent me to another rehab. That was a 6-month program. Well, I made it 5 months and 20 something days, and then I got caught with a bunch of bags of this stuff called Tunchi that doesn't even show up in drug tests. So then I went to prison, and then from prison, they take me back to jail, and then they give me another chance, and that's the third chance, all without ever hitting the streets, and I get in that rehab, and my dad comes there and he delivers some things, and within 3 days I overdose off of fentanyl, and they have to pump me with 7 hits of Narcan to bring me back, and I go back to jail. And in jail I call my father, and I'm having this conversation, in Russian with him. And I'm telling him, look, Dad, and I'm lying. Like, somebody put that, stuff called heroin into my cocaine, and this sounded good in my head, but I just didn't want it to sound so bad to him on the phone or him to judge me. And he switched from the conversation in Russian and in English said, son, you're a junkie. And that right there just completely bottomed me out. That did something to me internally that, I can't even explain. I got off of the phone crying hysterically, and went into my cell. And I still used one more time after that in jail, and then a handful of days later, it was New Year's Eve, and I set a New Year's resolution in my cell that's been like a prayer being answered to this day, and it's, that was like kind of my bottom, my moment of clarity. And that is the time when I started listening. I went to court a couple of days after, and the judge, for some reason, and God bless his heart, gave me another chance. And he told me, look, I'm going to put you in Matt Talbot. And I went to Matt Talbot, and, God was doing for me something that I couldn't do for myself. And I didn't even believe in God at that moment just yet, or I didn't even have that open perception of him. And I just started telling on myself, and things started to work out. It's kind of crazy because, like, I was still prescribed gabapentin, And I even told on myself in rehab. And like, that wasn't like me, you know? And like, I knew something was happening. And that's like the bottom and moment of clarity all tied into one, Amber.
And Matt Talbot is a treatment center. So you went to, the judge sent you to a treatment center,
Yes.
correct? Okay. And now, how do you feel being 2.5 years sober?
I feel at peace. I feel free. I feel blessed. I'm blessed by the best. Like, I never would have imagined the life that I'm living today, you know, and the 24 karat problems I get to deal with.
What do you do to maintain your sobriety?
Well, I go to meetings. I try to stay going to 2 to 3 meetings. I keep in contact with my sponsees and the guys that have helped keep me sober. You know, I keep in contact with my sponsor very regularly, you know, and I try to pass on and give what was so freely given me.
And what about your relationships? You talked about your dad. How is your relationship with your family, significant other, friends?
You know, the relationships I have today are beautiful. Like, that brings tears to my eyes because it's like I never expected or would have imagined, you know, growing from this little boy, this little lost boy that was just this little lost boy 2.5 years ago, to the man I'm starting to grow into today. Because, like, I am more than just a part of, like, I'm able to help. I'm able to help them carry the weight, you know, with my parents, with my grandparents, with my brothers, you know, and those ones around me. Um, the relationships are beautiful. They're, I don't know, words can't describe the love that I have for those ones around me.
What dreams do you have that otherwise would not have been possible?
My dreams are coming true each and every day. You know, I started a business. Um, I've been able to acquire and you know, build myself and those ones around me and continue on this growth, you know, like the materialistic things are unbelievable, you know, from going from nothing to volunteering to get a bike, you know, to asking to borrow money to get a bus ride to where I am today. I mean, that is a dream. You know, that these problems are like the problems I once prayed for and wished to have today. And you know, I would have never been able to do this without recovery, without these steps and living by these principles. Like, that is the only answer to that. Like,
What do you see for your future?
I don't know, maybe a picket fence, you know, a white one, maybe a boat, you know. For my future, I don't know. I see happiness. I see freedom. I see joy. And hopefully that one I can get to share it with, you know?
So you talked a little bit about feelings. You definitely seem happier now. Can you describe your favorite feeling in sobriety?
You know, the feeling of peace and freedom. Like, there's so many times that in the morning, because, you know, I'll be driving And at times I'll even have a passenger with me that I'm taking to work, you know. And it's like a song will come on and I got tears in my eyes because I am so grateful to be able to be, you know, living the life that I'm living today, to be walking in the shoes that I'm walking. Um, the feeling of love.
Give me one example of one thing you were proud of since getting sober.
One.
One.
One thing I am proud of from getting sober, not having that mental obsession.
So tell me, what does a typical day look like for Ilya?
A typical day. Well, I start my day off with hitting my prayer bones, you know, every single morning. And then I have some coffee and sort of think about the things that I have coming up. And the things that I usually have coming up are different jobs, either me working for somebody or somebody's working for me. And running around taking care of trees, you know. From there, and the beautiful part about that is everybody that works for me and that I work with are also living this way of life. And that's a blessing, all in recovery. And, you know, then I go sometimes spend time with my sponsees because they have lives of their own. And, you know, I go to the gym at times. I go for long walks by the beach by myself, you know, just to get a peace of mind. I listen to a lot of music. Music does not stop in my life. Um, and then I go help out my parents, you know, and spend a lot of time over there. So they are productive, fulfilling days.
Can you share some examples of things you've been able to do in recovery that otherwise would not have been possible?
Starting a business, investing in myself, you know, being able to bring to and not take from because I was always a taker, you know, being able to make amends, large financial amends, you know, and that's not comfortable given big chunks of money or big sacrifices of your time for the wreckage that I caused before, you know. I never thought you know, guys would listen to a couple of things that I've been taught, keep me sober, and along the way, stay sober themselves, you know, and I wouldn't be able to do this.
What have you learned from your addiction?
As cliche as it is, it's ruthless, cunning, and baffling. You know, I have learned that even though I've been wrung through the ringer, that I could still be helpful. Even though I was that dirtball, that scumbag, you know, that I can recover. That there is hope, you know, and that hope comes to us through the people that carry this message. And, you know, I've learned that I don't know much, and more is being revealed to me every day.
We talked about a lot today. Is there anything that we missed? Any questions I didn't ask that you would like to share with us today?
I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. It's just that, you know, I am so blessed and grateful, not only just to have this opportunity to talk to you and share with anybody who is watching this, but to experience the freedom, the peace, the joys that I have in my life today, because I never would have imagined them, you know, because like even the hardest days I have in sobriety, I wouldn't trade for the best days of getting high, because they just don't compare. You know, the life that I have been blessed with is beautiful. Words can't describe it.
All right, Ilya, we appreciate you so much for coming out and sharing your story. It's going to help so many, and thank you so much.
Thank you.